For today's video, we're going to look at all the cannons that I went over in my entire channel, and we're just going to compare how they work in Java and Bedrock. Yeah, I know it's been a while, but I'm back and I'm ready to make more videos. Now, I would always see comments in my videos saying it doesn't work on Bedrock. How do I build this in Bedrock? It doesn't work in Bedrock. Okay, how about we just find out right now? Let's see. We're going to do some side-by-side comparisons, and let's just see if they're any different or if they even work at all. Okay, now I'll say right here, right now, the biggest change from Java to Bedrock is that you cannot spawn TNT in blocks. Now you see over here we have a dispenser facing into a block, and if I activate it, then the TNT is just going to spawn in the block and then fall through it. Unfortunately, this is not the case in Bedrock. It just, instead of going through the block, the TNT gets dispensed into the block and then just pushes it up. So if you see some cannons edited a tiny bit, that's why. Okay, so let's start with the first cannon. So over here we have a shotgun cannon, and so we're just gonna fire this, and yeah, that's what we're used to. It fires pretty low, it's pretty destructive, fires kind of far. Okay, so we're in Bedrock now, as you could tell by my emote. And we have our shotgun cannon. So couple things I noticed, the shots go way higher, but they also kind of go a little further, I think. I don't know if that's in my head, but it seems to go kind of way further. Moving on, let's do the ladder cannon. So fires pretty high. You can see some TNT kind of sticking close to the floor, and that's because of the one dispenser on the top. So if I were to remove that dispenser, then it would just all fire kind of up. Alright, and here's our ladder cannon in Bedrock. And kind of the same thing when it just goes really high, and yeah, the TNT seems a little erratic in this version. But yeah, same kind of thing, nothing really too different from the ladder cannon in Java. Okay, next we have the carpet cannon. This is a classic. The main point of the carpet cannon is pretty much just to shoot in a place that's below you. Now for our carpet cannon in Bedrock, when I fire, it kind of shoots up. I mean, some of the TNT is still shooting down, but you could see a big portion of it shooting up, which is kind of interesting actually. I mean, I think I could still see this having some usage. Okay, the corner cannon. This is pretty much just a shotgun cannon, but as you know, it fires diagonal. Alright, now we're in Bedrock, we just have our corner cannon, and let's see. And that fired really high. It just seems like a lot of the stuff in Bedrock just likes to fire high and fire far. And after noticing this pattern quite a bit, I decided to remove some of the redstone just to see how it would fire. And yeah, it actually looks pretty normal. So if you want to get something a lot more like the cannons in Java, you don't need as many dispensers in the back. You could just remove a lot of the redstone and it's going to fire something pretty normal. And I'm sure you could do this with the other cannons as well. Okay, now we move on to the fence cannon. And I really like this cannon. The way it fires is just so interesting. It's just so cool to look at. Okay, moving on to Bedrock, we have our fence cannon, and yeah guys, unfortunately, yeah, it just explodes. So it seems like in Bedrock, the TNT blast doesn't really extend past the first line of fences. I tried downsizing it, so I just only use one row of fences, but you know, at that point, you just might as well build a regular shotgun cannon. Hey, self-destruct cannons. These cannons, as you know, they just fire once. You can't, you know, the entire point is that they self-destruct, so you can only fire them once. And yeah, they're pretty destructive. Okay, now the self-destructing cannons in Bedrock, they kind of follow the same sort of pattern. Fire really up and really far. And after seeing what the corner cannon did, I just decided to try with a little less TNT, and yeah, we could get a really big shot like that. So that one actually seems like it'd be pretty useful if you just want like a big blast in front of you. Alright, moving on, let's do slime cannons. It just fires a little lob over some sort of wall, like if you want to fire over a wall. Works perfectly fine. Okay, now as for slime cannons in Bedrock, I'm pretty sure anybody who plays Bedrock knows that this is not gonna work. And the reason for that is that, yeah. So slime blocks can pull on tile entities, so that means that it's just gonna latch onto the dispenser, and yeah, it's just gonna break the cannon. So unfortunately, no slime cannons in Bedrock. Maybe you guys can come up with something, but I got nothing right now. And one good thing is that it still does not stick to the terracotta block, so you have that going for you. Okay, and here we have the autocannon. This is the one that, you know, you just flick the lever and then it just works. Okay, and yeah, it just spams TNT everywhere. That's the way it usually does fire. It's supposed to fire every single TNT blast. Now in Bedrock, I will say the autocannon is kind of weird. You should take a look for yourself. So instead of rapid firing like it's supposed to, it kind of just waits a bit, then fires out a bunch of TNT. The TNT on top of it doesn't explode it, so I guess it's still kind of working, but it's kind of just a big waste of TNT. Unless you have infinite TNT, but yeah, this just doesn't seem that useful. You know, I wouldn't really call this a TNT cannon, but I figured that some people might be interested. So TNT cannons in Java, of course, can launch mobs, which is pretty cool. And in Bedrock, we still have the same mob cannon. Let's fire it. Let's see this creeper go flying. And, you know, surprisingly, it actually still works. You know, I wasn't actually, yeah, Bedrock moment right there. So yeah, I wasn't really expecting this one to work, but, you know, I guess TNT cannons can still launch mobs. And one thing I just want to address real quick, someone in the comments section of that video said that it didn't work in Bedrock. And that's probably just because you can't spawn blocks inside of dispensers. So if you build that cannon in Bedrock, just make sure you build it without any of the dispensers inside, and you actually should be fine. Now one last thing, the final thing I wanted to talk about was semi-auto. And this is pretty much just rapid firing your cannons. And you can see it's working perfectly fine in Java. Now see what happens when I try and semi-auto in Bedrock. Unfortunately, it just does not work. Like, I'm firing, like, it just stops, right? And then it's just over. So, yeah, that's quite unfortunate. Especially since this is such a powerful strategy. It's quite a shame that this doesn't work on Bedrock at all. I even tried doing the simulated semi-auto thing where I could just have it work like a semi-auto, and look what happens. The TNT just kind of blasts out. It seems like the problem with TNT in Bedrock is that if TNT is directly on top of another TNT, it just blasts it up. And in Java, that's not the same issue because it doesn't move at all, but in Bedrock, it just blasts it up. So that's probably why semi-auto doesn't work. So that is all the differences between all the cannons I've gone over from Java to Bedrock. I hope this was interesting. I mean, of course, there's a lot more limits from Bedrock to Java, but some of the differences between the cannons were kind of cool to see. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video if you want to see more of this content. Alright, thanks for watching. What? Huh? What? Okay. What is this version of Minecraft?